here's a nice little breakdown from New York Times about who got the most camera time, most speaking time. What? This is surprising me. Pence was number one. I mean, I watched the debate, and I didn't. That's kind of surprised me. I thought it'd be Ramaswamy.
No, I understand. Pence did get a lot of airtime. Most of it was boring and dull, but he came across very assertive, I thought. Not that it matters. I just want to, before we even talk about any of this, these guys all suck. Okay? Their approval rate, I mean, their poll numbers are dog water. They are terrible. They're not going to move the needle in a significant direction that starts eating away at Trump's poll numbers.
I think Vivek could take a tiny chunk out of it.
I agree with that.
15% at most.
I don't even think he would take a chunk out of Trump, but I think he would take a chunk out of like everybody else's. Because like everybody else has like some Donald Trump supporters that are like, but maybe I like this guy. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah. But Pence got everyone to agree that he did the right thing by...
That was really unique.
By certifying the vote. I was surprised by that.
That crowd was insane. Okay?
So confusing.
Because they were clapping at Mike Pence saying, I put my, oath to the office above my loyalty to the president.
Yeah.
And like at one point that got claps, and then immediately after, Ramaswamy would like dunk on Chris Christie and be like, "Shut the fuck up! Donald Trump was the president. Pence shouldn't have done that or whatever." And then that would get claps.
Yeah.
And it made no sense. Like, what the fuck was going on in that audience?
I found myself wondering who actually is in the audience. Like, genuinely, who was invited there? Not like jokingly.
I think maybe like a lot of the Republican Party's obvious primary base of support is Republican Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm.
So I think half of the room was like real voters, and then the other half was all like lobbyists and Republican Party members, more loyal to the party.
Please clap.
I knew this about is it Vivek? How do you say his first name?
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek. Okay. Ramaswamy, I knew was like conservative and pretty nutty, but man, it's not a secret, but he has a way of presenting himself as like reasonable and logical and kind of just fact of the matter. But his views are really, really,
I mean, they're not even real.
extreme.
He's just 100% triangulating to like to get
so? I'm
the
not
Trump
sure.
dick riding cabinet position.
Not sure.
I do love that a lot of people on Twitter are like, oh my God, Vivek is angling for a vice president's position for the Trump ticket. And I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? You guys are so crazy if you think that the Republican Party is going to make, like, it. Think about it this way. The vice president's last name shows up next to the president's last name on campaign slogans. So you think that they're going to do, what, Trump Ramaswamy? Ramaswamy. Republicans are going to vote for a man with the last name Ramaswamy. No fucking shot. Okay,
Yeah.
Bobby Jindal tried it, didn't work out. It's not happening.
I was in some comments and I already saw people being like, their base being like super racist against Indian people.
He will gain some prominence because I think he is angling towards like the online and the younger Republicans in a way that Ron DeSantis was trying to angle towards the extremely online young Republicans, but Ramaswamy does that better.
Yeah.
Which creates an inflated sense of popularity in especially Twitter. And by that, I mean this angling now for the contemporary Republican Party, for Gen Z Republicans and millennial Republicans, is just being as fascist as possible.
Right.
Like, straight up. And I mean like advocating for like esoteric fascist bullshit, right? And that does not play that well with the broader base of Republican voters because like they don't want to be they don't want the Black Sun Association that Ron DeSantis accidentally allowed in his campaign. So Ramaswamy has been able to avoid that while still simultaneously signaling the same exact like extremely online 4chan foreign policy and whatnot. Overall, I had this guttural disgust, this visceral disgust to the things that he was saying. And whenever I have that kind of feeling towards a particular candidate, I know that probably plays well with the Republican voters.
That's a good point.
Whereas, like, with Ron DeSantis, I just have a feeling of sadness. Or whenever he speaks, I'm like, oh, that's gross.
The thing that I find interesting about Vivek is that he's a billionaire. And he's doing the same exact shtick that Trump did, where he's like, I'm the outsider. I'm not like other politicians. And he's even more of like a billionaire insider almost than Trump is. He's like a tech bro billionaire who is clearly representing his own and his cronies' interests and somehow convincing people that he's just, hey, I'm just like one of you. He's a pharma industry, bro, who the Republicans apparently hate.
Yeah.
So it's like the same playbook. I heard him saying that a few times on the stage.
He was on the World Economic Forum. Like
he's homies with
he got a George Soros grant when he was already a fucking millionaire in college.
Oh, brother.
So like,
not Georgie boy.
Yeah. So like, the fact that the Republicans are actually like hand waving that away speaks to like Ramaswamy's instincts, because Fox News has run some articles on it, and overall, because of his like die-hard support for Donald Trump,
right?
People are kind of hand waving all that away. He feels like a real one, but this is kind of like the Democratic Party trying to recreate Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a once-in-a-lifetime candidate who was incredibly charismatic, especially when he was running. Donald Trump, in many respects, is the Barack Obama for white people. He was white man's Barack Obama in the sense that he was incredibly charismatic and still is incredibly charismatic to a specific subsect of the population.
Okay.
And you're not going to be able to recreate that with someone like Vivek. Donald Trump didn't actually play the outsider, I'm a billionaire, I'm a businessman role because he was a billionaire businessman. The reason why he got a lot of, the reason why people loved him was because he was a television star. He was a person who was in pop culture. He ran a show called The Apprentice that was one of the most diverse casts on reality television and had some of the most diverse marketing that you had ever seen, like as far as demographics goes. All of that stuff gave him a tremendous amount of name recognition that truly helped him solidify his outsider perspective.
When I heard from Trump supporters, I did frequently hear from them that he's a businessman. We need a businessman who's going to run the country like a businessman. And I get the same sense they have that reverence for Vivek.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Doug Burgum is a businessman. He's a billionaire too.
Who?
Well, he's a dork.
Exactly. Like, Doug Burgum is a businessman too. He's a billionaire. I mean, he kept repeating over and over again, he's from a town with 300 people. I'm from a town of 300 people.
Oh, is that guy a billionaire? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. And
I'm surprised that none of them, because they were all trying to hit Vivek, and nobody mentioned that he's a pharma billionaire. And I feel like, why not?
Yeah. Here's one thing I'll say. Americans might, especially on the Republican Party, might say they want a businessman, but they're not voting for a businessman because of their bona fides in business. If that was the case, Mitt Romney would have cleared Barack Obama. Mitt Romney was the ultimate businessman at Bain. And yet his businessman status and his experience in that field was weaponized against him. They said, you are the liquidator. You're the guy that comes in and fires a bunch of people. You're responsible for mass layoffs when you were doing consulting. You're a bad guy. And it fucking worked. They portrayed him as an out-of-touch, wealthy guy because he is. So I think Vivek is not necessarily going to be able to play the Trump role, because what made Trump popular isn't necessarily that he's a businessman. It's that he's a television businessman. He played one on TV, basically.
Right. Well, here you can expect all the most annoying people